Nike paid a mere $35 for the swoosh logo in 1971, and today it's worth more than $26 billion. That's crazy. But nobody soars to those heights by accident, so how has Nike done it? I'm Elijah Delport, and this is Brand Breakdown, where we are analyzing the content strategies behind great clothing brands so you can improve your own. Today we're going to be watching and analyzing 3 pieces of content from Nike running, the last of which is a poster from 1977. This first piece of content I'm hesitant to even call content because it's more like a cinematic short film. And it's a masterclass in how to create great ad campaigns. Let's have a look and then I'm going to analyze it.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Winning isn't comfortable. This video is one part in a greater series of videos showing these relatable short films, especially for runners. You know, in this case, it's all about doing or getting up on the hard days and even training then, because that's how you become a winner. I think this is fantastic because this series is focused on storytelling, not the product, but on the story. And there's a couple of elements that make these stories great. It's first of all that they have characters. In this little film, the characters are the runners, and then there's the weather. And then also the other element of a story is conflict and resolution. In fact, I think that's the most integral elements of story, is to have conflict and resolution. And so the conflict in this case is the elements. It's the rain, it's the hail, it's the bad weather. And the resolution is to go out and do it anyway. It's the human spirit. And so I think this is really powerful because what they're doing with these stories is creating a sort of common enemy here. And the common enemy is the bad days. It's the bad weather. It's something totally relatable to all runners. And because they have elements of storytelling, it adds so much power to the video campaign. Most video campaigns out there, they just look pretty, and that's all they're made to do, right? They're just, here's the product and here's it. And that's it. There's no depth to them. But because they're telling a story, they are creating something memorable in the minds of the viewers and in the audience, and also creating like an emotion. They're creating an emotion within the audience, and it's that emotion that creates connection between a person and a brand, or an emotion that even makes them feel less like a brand, less like a company, and more like a friend or a person. And now I'm like, this is when people start saying stuff like, I resonate with Nike. Well, it's not because they resonate with some shoe, or it has nothing to do with that. No one resonates with shoes. It's because they resonate with a message that's delivered through a story in a way that evokes emotion. And for that reason, that's why this campaign does such a great job. The other thing is there's a juxtaposition between the music and the content itself. The music, the lyrics say, you're my sunshine, my only sunshine. And it's so funny that that's what the lyrics say when all we're seeing is rain, storms, and clouds. There's this juxtaposition between what we're seeing and what we're hearing, and that only amplifies the conflict and the struggle. It amplifies the story, because if the story makes the conflict, if the conflict makes the story, and we amplify the conflict, then we're only amplifying the story. Finally, I think it's worth mentioning the kind of people that they've chosen to have in this film. You'll notice that they're not following one person or one type of person. They're following all different types of people, young and old, men and women, white and black. There's a really wide demographic. And this goes against all traditional marketing advice. They say, have a customer avatar, know exactly what age they are, exactly what gender, their marital status, how many kids they have, how much income. those things are important sometimes. However, what's even more important than that is not a very narrow demographic, but a narrow interest. And that's what Nike's focusing in on instead. The narrow interest in this case is those of a competitive nature, runners of a competitive nature. And then the demographic of those who fit in within that narrow interest is super wide. So you have, like, as I said, young and old, male and female, white and black, and everyone in between. And so this is super powerful because what you have is at the same time a super inclusive brand, and yet it is specific in all the right ways. And that's, I think, when we're moving into building communities, it's less about choosing a very specific person and rather choosing a specific identity or interest, something that's integral to a person. Like, I'm a competitive runner, I'll get up no matter what. And that can be whatever it is for your brand. In the second piece of content of Nike, it shows us how to create a repeatable content series when you aren't dropping. Let's watch the video and then I'm going to be analyzing it.
I have 3 tips for you if you're going on a trail running. First, bring a map or a device or something so you don't get lost. Tip 2 is to do a good warm-up so you don't get injured. Tip 3 would be to bring a collapsible water bottle because it gets really hot, you need to get hydrated, and when it's empty you can put it in your pocket. Make sure to bring a lot of snacks in case you get hungry, and a shirt with buckets so you can put it inside.
Super different from the last clip, right? Well, this, instead of being maybe entertaining content, as I would say the last video was, this is educational content. It's informative. That we get 3 tips on how to be a trail runner. And so the mindset behind this is Nike Running is thinking, how do we become a resource for runners? And this works in nearly every niche, whatever it is, whether it's mental health, sustainability, skateboarding. Think, how can you become a resource? How can your Instagram page become a resource for the very kind of customer that you are trying to sell to? And so if you think in that mindset first, what you're going to be doing is providing value to that kind of person. And naturally, you will gather the audience and your people so much quicker and more effectively, and build that audience asset that later that you can sell to. And that's exactly what they're doing. Something similar to the last video is that they're using the community to share advice. And this is really how the Nike community is being built. It's showing that, well, there's actually people a part of this community and they're contributing to what they're doing, right? And so I don't think this person really is an employee. Maybe they were hired just for this video. Maybe they're a runner. But this girl is someone who's part of the running community, clearly. And so what they've done is they've got her on to do this video or a series of videos all about running, all about trail running. And as a result, like, people see this person and go, hey, I recognize that face. And because I trust that face and I trust her in the community, I'm also going to trust Nike. And so this is where a brand becomes really strongly grounded in a community. Is where the people that are already there, that already make up the community, kind of pull that brand down and anchor them. Or when the brand becomes associated with those people, it becomes anchored to them. Something else that's super creative about this video is that it's a combined product soft sell. And so, especially in the video where they're talking about how you should bring lots of snacks, and it's good to bring something with pockets so you can store the snacks, or even a collapsible water bottle that you can store in your pocket as you run. Like, if you're releasing a product with specific features that you want to show off, and you can somehow link it to the lifestyle or identity behind your brand, that is such a golden way to soft sell your product, because then you're really relating the product to how those in your community might actually use it. And that's massive. That's super cool and creative way to sell the features of your product. You know, heck, maybe you're a brand for skaters, and there's certain things about your product that make it really good for skaters, more than just its aesthetic quality. Maybe there's some design features, or maybe something to do with the GSM of the garment, or some functionality. Relate it somehow to what people do when they wear your garment, and that's massive. That's super big. Finally, of course, what I mentioned before in the beginning about creating a repeatable content series. This series that Nike's created is called Runners Helping Runners. And so if you can somehow find repeatable, easily scalable content series that you can bulk create, that's massive. Like, think about it like this. Running Helping Runners, Nike's breaking it down like an educational series all about, you know, giving advice and giving tips to runners. On this day, they could have shot 30 videos with this runner. And they say, all right, let's plan it out. As long as you plan it out before, you shoot 30 videos in a day and you have content for months on end. And so this is something that is super important, is to create repeatable content series so you don't have to think of new ideas every single time, especially content series that aren't about your product, but rather about the message about or behind your product. This final piece of content is less content and more a poster. It was released in 1977 before social media entirely, and the brief was simple: create an advertisement that doesn't show the product. We're going to be looking and analyzing that in a second, but before we do, here is a quick break. We'll be back in a moment. I believe community is the X factor in any brand that's seen any kind of success. It's the very thing that's going to take your clothing brand from here to up here. And so I did the most logical thing. I created a community of my own of brand owners who are building their own communities. Look, it's totally free to join, and I promise being in a group of other passionate brand owners who are going to keep you accountable, who you can ask questions to, who are going to give you advice, is the very thing that's going to help you take it to the next level, especially when we're working with small teams. When you probably can't afford to have a whole room of creatives around you, well, here it is, for free. There's a link in the description that you can use to join right now. I can't wait for you to get this value. I'll see you on the other side. But for now, back to the video.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, now here is the Nike poster. It reads, "There is no finish line. Sooner or later, the serious runner goes through a special, very personal experience that is unknown to most people. Some call it euphoria. Others say it's a new kind of mystical experience that propels you into an elevated state of consciousness. A flash of joy, a sense of floating as you run. The experience is unique to each of us. But when it happens, you break through a barrier that separates you from casual runners forever. And from that point on, there is no finish line. You run for your life. You begin to be addicted to what running gives you. We at Nike understand that feeling. There is no finish line for us either. We will never stop trying to excel, to produce running shoes that are better and better every year. Beating the competition is relatively easy, but beating yourself is a never-ending commitment. Nike." Man, there's so much in this to unpack. But the reason why I saved this to the end is because there's more gold in this than anything. You know, I'll tell you a story. Some time ago, I made a post to Reddit saying how Nike sells the lifestyle, not the product, and that is how they have built to become the mega company that they are today. I got a number of replies on that Reddit post saying that Nike's only used Instagram and social media in general in the last 10, 15 years, only as long as it's been around, probably even shorter than that. So you can't make a claim that it's used this lifestyle content to grow as it has. But I absolutely can. Check out this poster, for example, that was released in 1977, way before any social media content is doing the exact same thing. It's selling the lifestyle and not the product. It doesn't even show the product. So let's break it down together. Close to the beginning, they say, a sense of floating as you run. The experience is unique to each of us. They're obviously talking about runner's high, but what they're doing is they're using a sort of inclusive language by saying each of us. It's not about me and you or our company. It's about each of us, and you're a part of it. So they're including the community and in this way, in the language and everything that they're doing in their company. They have in mind that it's not just them and their company. It's actually the people that make it. what it is. It's the people that make Nike, it's the community that make Nike what it is. The other language that they use here is that this euphoria, when you break through that barrier, it's what separates you from casual runners. Okay, much like in the first piece of content with the rain and where they have this rain and the elements as the common enemy, they're making a common enemy out of casual runners here. And by excluding someone from their community, what they're doing is they're including others. They're showing you who is included in their community. And this is really powerful, to have a common enemy. Because what you'll hear, I mean, if you're a runner, I'm a runner, you'll hear people who kind of categorize themselves. They'll say they're just kind of a casual runner, you know, it's just a hobby, and others who are really into it, and you hear it in the way that they speak. They'll often also hang out with other people that hang out with really competitive runners also. And so by Nike making that difference and showing what side that their company is on and what side those are that wear their brand are on, they're infusing themselves into that community of runners. And that's super important, that even whatever your lifestyle is, there's probably different people within that identity. Tell the world who is for what you're doing and who is against. Have a common enemy. And it doesn't have to be necessarily a type of person or a specific person, definitely not a specific person, but rather an idea or a greater, you know, Nike's for the competitive. Their idea that they're against is for casuals, right? It's all about, you know, winning isn't for everyone. Winning is uncomfortable. With all this content, what we really get here is two main, broadest, most categories, and they are brand content and product content. And it's really important to understand the purpose of these two. It's that product content is to sell the product. It's to say, here's our latest release, here's our hoodies, here's our shoes, whatever. Buy it on our website. Whereas brand content is to indoctrinate people into the community and so that they buy into the brand. And so they're not putting money down on the table as much as they're putting their identity. They're saying, I'm a part of this greater community of individuals. Man, that is something that is so valuable and so underrated among many, many brands. But if you can get that right, by the content that has nothing to do with your product, you're going to absolutely smash it in this environment of building community that we're stepping into in the fashion space. Here's a reminder, please, if you've enjoyed this video and found value in it, join a community of other motivated brand owners. I'm also posting value in that space too. There's a link in the description. Join me on School on Streetwear 365. It's totally free. I've even got a free streetwear marketing course on the inside. So please come and join us. Look, and if you enjoyed this video too, like and subscribe, please, and watch another brand breakdown. There should be a link on screen now. But anyway, I'm Elijah Delport. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you for another brand breakdown. Here's a drink to you. Thanks for getting to the end. I really appreciate you getting here. You show me that you're a real one. You show me that you're a real one.